So seeing that screen now. Okay, and the first thing we're going to do is decide on its size. Now, I've seen some that are 5 or 12, which seems a little small to me. 12 inches. So that's the actual size that you would be getting and putting out on your house. So, I think I probably, I want to do, this will do a 4-inch tile with us with a 1/2 inch margin. So let's see if we kind of take this, I'm gonna copy this one, hold the Alt key, and you can see it'll make a double for the duplicate. Hold the Shift key, and I'm gonna drag this straight down. And I like to use my 12 by 20, actually it's like 10.9 by, or 10.8 by 19.2, I think. So that you can use this in a layout with pretty much any machine that uses a 12 by 20 footprint, and obviously anything larger. So in this one, let's say we're actually going to increase this to 6 inches tall. Or 6, yes. So if we do 6 inches, then that's 1 inch on either side of all of the 4x4 tiles that we're gonna kind of plan for. And you don't have to make tiles. A lot of people like to do engraved tiles with the laser, and you're more than welcome to do that with this. And you can also just make your own 4x4 tiles out of wood if you wanted to, or use, polymer clay or any of the other options that crafting gives you. So don't feel like you're ever kind of hindered in choices. You always have choices. And I'm actually going to take the fill out of these. So I'm just going to hit the little red cross there, make them transparent. And you can see now we've got some overlap because I've only got a 10.8 workspace. So I'm just going to pull this back up so it's in the workspace, and we'll just focus on these one by one. So I'm going to do Control X. I'm going to come over here and make a new layer, and I'm going to Control F to paste in front, which also pastes in place. So then we'll be able to come up here and we can turn one off or turn the other off, depending on what we're working on. So right now I'm gonna say for the 6th one, it feels a little short now that we've made it 6 inches tall. So let me come back out here, properties, and let's say we're gonna do a 6 by, let's see, 12 inches only gives us 3 tiles actually. So it seems a bit short. So let's go to 12 by 16. Let's see what that looks like. I think we should go a little bit further. Oops, I have that set up so it didn't came in from the center. Let's pull that back. Yeah, I still think we should go a little bit further. So with this one, I think 6 by 18, which is a nice balance with the mathematics here. Then oops, grab that guy and pull it across. So you can see the 5 by 12 feels like good in the balance of it, and then the 6 by 18 itself, when you look at those dimensions, feels good as well. And that's the mathematics of it. Your brain is constantly wired to see what it feels is attractive And not just attractive in the sense of like people, but attractive in general. So math plays a lot into that. Let's go back now. I'm going to lock and turn. Oops. I'm going to lock and turn the 18" off. So let's start with the 5x12. And let's make this one say welcome. So this doesn't have to have the tile work. So one of the things that we should do here it's telling me it's locked for some. There we go. So it was just being funky. The first thing I'm going to do is do a margin here. So cancel. You could do it with doing another shape, which was out of the rectangle tool, like I did the others. Or actually, let's come to the black arrow, which is also the V while you're working. And we're going to go to Object, Path, and we're going to Offset Path. And this lets us make sure that all of the offset here is even. Because when you do it this way, it's actually coming from all the sides versus when you do it when you're scaling it, sometimes to keep the aspect ratio, it'll scale thinner versus longer. Like it's got a different math to it. So with this, we want to make sure that we get a nice clean margin on here. And to do that, we're actually going to go in some. So this is a 5" tall. Let's go in by a ½ inch. So we go minus 0.5. You hit tab and you can see what that looks like. And I think that looks pretty good. We can have something like a foiled outside frame on this. We could do this can honestly be inside the house too. This doesn't have to be outside. We can do lots of things with this. So let's start with I'm going to make this a mitered frame. Now, the nice thing about this is you don't have to actually cut this into pieces. You can, but you don't have to. So that's like one of those options that you have. Right now, I'm just going to set it up as if it's just a score line that's going to take us here. And if you notice the pen tool likes to, it'll do 1 point, 2 points, and then try and keep going. So if you just hit P again for the pen tool, then it'll actually stay in the pen tool, but it'll close that line that you have. And here we go. Here's our last one. Okay, so when you look at it, this already starts to give you either a sense of dimension, if there's some shading on the inside or the outside, or it'll give you the feeling of a nice mitered frame around everything without actually having to build a frame itself. So the next thing we're going to do is let's come up with a font that we like as a welcome font. And right now you can see my font's pretty tiny. But we're going to come over here to properties. And Myriad Pro is like your standard Arial. It's a sans serif that is kind of a basic for a lot of different programs. And it's never very attractive. I try to not stay with this basic sans serif if I can help it. I have some interesting ones. So what I like to do, just to give you guys an idea, you can probably hear my cat crying in the background. He'll come in here with a Christmas tree pretty soon. Odin! Odin! Oh, there he is with a Christmas tree. All right. So what I like to do is I like to pull out about 5 fonts to choose from. So I'm going to just duplicate this down, and then that'll keep the first one I like, and then we're going to look for the second one. Oh, didn't stop. Sorry, guys. The cats want what the cats want, right? So for this, I think I'm actually going to filter And I'm gonna come over here and go to, probably not black letter, I'm gonna go to decorative. And this way, all my fonts now, we're gonna leave out a lot of the basic ones, and we're gonna come to ones that are, have a little swing to them. This one feels a little too modern for me. It could work for some households. Let's keep scrolling through since we're only in the A's right there. There's a nice handwriting one, but that still feels a little casual to me. That feels pretty good. That's very similar to, I think it's Felix Titling, which they use for movie titles, believe it or not. You can get all sorts of neat fonts. This one is a little bit sharp. I kind of like that. It's very modern. So we're going to pull this one down. And we're going to, that was in these, that's Brain Catcher. So obviously they're trying not to use the same title as something else does. So I'm gonna come back down here, past that one. And I have some favorites that I'm gonna pull up in a second, but I just want to show you can just flip through this and find some interesting stuff. This is actually fun. A lot of people are doing those ornaments and stuff for Christmas, where they have all the balls hanging down, or the stars, and this font actually does that for you. So that's kind of nice. If you come back around to something that you want to be making for the family displays or something like that. This one's kind of interesting. I like that. That has kind of a fairy tale vibe to it. And let's see, for number 4, I'm gonna go to Eagle Feather, which is one of my favorites. It's either Eagle Feather or it's Dyer. I'm gonna try Dyer instead. Yes, Dyer Arts and Crafts. It's near and dear to my heart. This is one. If you know me, you know that I am a mission style arts and crafts. You know, all that mid-century to early century design. And let's pull one more out just for fun, and then we can decide on what we want. I am going to just scroll way down here and see what we've got. One of the things we can do is we can do something that has like an interchangeable shape for the O in welcome, which would then give you a way to make a welcome sign that isn't one of those big door leaders, that still has some of the swappability. So let's look for something that's actually kind of a farm, kind of a rustic, or I'm sorry, what's the word I'm thinking of? It's like the shabby chic, I guess. So let's see if we can find kind of one of those handwriting. Let's see here. Milk store is kind of nice, but I don't know what it'll look like. Let's see. We want something that's going to be good with all caps. Let's go with, I guess that's more of a stencil there. I don't want to take too much time on this, so let's come back up. And here, we'll do something like that one. So it's kind of casual, but it can be done in an outline. It can be done a lot of different ways. So now of these, I really like this one in looking at them, or this one of the first ones I picked. So I think I'm gonna pull these guys down. And I'm gonna take these guys and kind of stack them up. And these guys are gonna go over here while I play with the other fonts. Oops. That's one thing you guys have to remember is if you're close to the center line, which you can see the center right here, for that square, you don't want to select it with other things, otherwise it'll start dragging stuff around. Okay, so now we're going to come in here and we're going to type. And then just trying to make sure I have this guy. Now, on these, I don't see that the welcome, like, I don't really like that W, but we'll get into the glyphs and see what it can look like. I'm gonna make both of these bigger so that they look like they're actually the size that will fill this 12-inch sign. Just drag them back up close to each other some more. And we'll probably turn these out a little bit too, so we'll have more space between the letters. So let's make that just there. That's pretty good. This is really nice. I'm liking that in an interior kind of cutaway on it. So I think this might be a good one too. I really love these little accents like this. We'll see. Okay, so with this guy, if we take it up in here, space it out nicely, it feels like it's about centered. And we're not going to center it while it's in the text shape, because you can see that the actual center of this piece, like this square, goes all the way down to there. So we don't want to center that up there. We want to center this actual art on here, so that the vertical center, the horizontal. I don't know. They always do it backwards from what I expect. Okay, let's come in here and we're going to get into this and select the W. And for most fonts, you'll see that there are some glyphs that are extra, but not always. So you have to kind of check in on it and see what this one has. I'm going over to the glyphs window. You can also access this by just going up to the window at the top. Oops. Go window, and you can see that it comes down to type. And then you can see that there is the glyphs panel right there. So you can do it either way. This one's kind of nice. I have it docked to my workspace. So that way I can easily just hit this button versus having to go down a couple of panels to go get it. Okay, so we have the W selected and it shows us that right here. So that's always nice as you start to dig into what they've got. Now this looks like what they've got for capital letters is down here. So this is all of the alternate language stuff that has the various accents and umlauts and anything else you would need. Here's the upside down question mark for Spanish. But then here you can see that there are alternates that are for decoration. So let's find W. And you can see they've got 3 W's right here. So the first W is a nice curve up to the left, which I really enjoy. Let's see, we'll select it again. And the next W has a nice like curl effect. Scroll work, I guess you could call it, in on that. And I kind of like how that kind of connects here on the center, and then also you've got the extra line on the side of the W. So I think I'm going to go with that, but I'm also going to show you that if this was something where the W was at the end of the word, then you also have the option to have that the opposite direction. So I'm just going to hit undo. And we're going to go with that one. And you can see if you have it selected and you roll over, it offers that also in this little menu. If the letter has got an alternate glyph. So you may go to some and it says, no, sorry, I don't. That does. I think almost all of these do in this font. So this is a fun thing too, is that you can kind of look at this and say, I don't want the whole font to be plain. So like here, let's go with the E that has got a bit of flourish as well. And then maybe we'll come to the C. That one I don't think will work as well. No, that kind of really muddies it right here. So we'll undo that. Let's see what the L gives us. That has a nice low piece to it. So we could, no, actually that's not very, that's not either. That's kind of nice, but let's see what were we just looking at? The E, I don't think we can use another one. I'm something in the center right there. So the C only has that pearl flourish. The O looks like it's flourish down. That's not bad. I like that. So we're gonna do that. And that to me looks like it's very well done. Still legible. You can still see what it means, what it says. And it's now got some flourishes to it that make it stand out more than just having the word in the font. And you can see now because of those flourishes, we're a little big here. So I'm going to pull it down some. And now that's going to be what this is going to look like. And I think that's nice. So we're going to move this guy to move the away. We're going to move this guy, and we might use that on the other frame. So I'm going to take all these. Since this font selection works for any of the other signs that we may design, I'm going to make a new layer. So you can see that's right here. I am going to paste. I didn't paste in place. I didn't paste in front. I just pasted. And then I'm going to lock that and I'm going to turn that off from viewing. So you see the little eyeball says you can see it or not. And then the lock means you can't move it. You know, when you're selecting other stuff, you don't necessarily want to move the things on all of your layers. So the lock comes in really handy. Okay, I'm gonna center this just because that's how I prefer working. Oops, gotta grab all those miters. Let's go back this way. And I'm gonna pull this down here. So now we get to start making things like, let's add a line to this that kind of ties all of this together. You'll see what I mean in a minute. First, we're going to check our kerning. I think the W is a little tight. So what you do is you go into the type and you're going to hold the Alt down and you use your arrow keys. Right moves them this way, left moves them this way. And it's the gap that you get in between the letters. So you can choose to make it a little wider if you feel like that's a bit too tight. And you can compare it here to what the width is between these top letters and see that, here I'll use this for a second. You can see here this gap and then this gap. And if you want to watch this gap down here to make sure that still feels like the W is included in the word. So I personally am going to pull it back a little bit. They're still not overlapping, but it almost feels like it's one piece of a flourish right there by having it do that. So we're going to come over. I think the C's probably come over a little bit more. The M maybe a little bit more, and I think the E is on track. So that just gets it a little tighter, makes it feel a little bit more pleasant to the eye. Right now I'm going to go to type and I'm going to create outlines. And you can see that makes these all a shape. So now we don't have to worry about, excuse me, we don't have to worry about it being live letters. Now these are shapes that we can go ahead and modify as we like with either the pen tool or with the direct select or the full selection tool. So I'm going to come over here, and I usually like pen tool. You can use the line tool if you like, but I tend to go with the pen tool, adjust the stroke, and then kind of go from there. So right now you can see my point is above this flourish in the W. We're at a nice distance here. And I'm going to hold shift, and I'm going to drag this all the way over here. And I'm going to try and do about the same distance with the flourish here. So then I'll hit P, and now we have our line. I'm going to crank this up. This is probably going to be like a 10-point stroke. And that's a little bit. Let's go back down to 8. And then what we're going to do is we're going to steal one of these flourishes from a letter. Now, I don't want a one-sided flourish like we see on these. What I really want is I want a nice straight, not an angled one like this, but more like a nice straight flourish this way that we're then going to churn. So this is grouped because we turned it into outlines, and it created a group when it did that. So I'm going to double click, and that gets me into the group, and you can see I can select all the various letters. Now, I personally am going to zoom in. And this is just control, space, and drag to the right. You can drag to the left, and it zooms out. So if you haven't been doing that, that's something new to remind yourself to do. And I'm going to steal quite a bit of this. I'm actually going to go all the way up to this diamond. So I'm going to hit the A key because I want the lines past where I'm going. Oops, that's a little too narrow. So let's start a little further. We're A key. Did we just get it? Okay, but we want to unselect that. So we're going to copy and see what exactly we got out of that. So I'm going to zoom out, and this is just tapping then instead of dragging on the zoom out. There. Okay, what did we get? It looks like we got pretty much everything I was after. I'm not sure. Let's zoom in again. And we're going to take a look at this. Yes, you can see that I actually got a little bit of the letter next to it. So, oh no, I'm sorry. That's the shape it's trying to create because we cut this apart. So I'm going to get into this, and basically, I'm wondering if I should just put these together. Oh, no, wait. Yeah. Let's try. No, minus back, I think. There's our shape that we're after. We actually want to bring this up to a line so that we can use the A key single selection, and we come in here, we pick that anchor point and we drag it up. I'm holding shift to make sure that it's straight. And there. So now we're going to grab this aspect. We're going to object, arrange, bring the front, and then we're going to minus front. And then now you can see we've got that flourish that we were looking for. Now let's see how this looks for us. We're going to rotate, and I'm holding shift. And you can see once you get the little curved icon there, That's what's telling you can rotate. So I'm gonna drag this up and we are going to make it so it is right there. And then we'll adjust this line. Looks like I was right the first time. This is probably a 10 stroke. Oh, no, actually a little bit more. Let's try 12. We'll see about that. So I want to align this right now. So it's centered vertically. And then we are going to come in here, we're going to grab this line and we're going to take the center back to where we can see that piece. So we're just gonna, actually, I think what we'll do is we're gonna put this line up, this end, oops. We're gonna take this end and we're gonna flip it. So I'm gonna Alt and copy it all the way down to this side, and there you can see that's where the end of it is. And then I'm just gonna rotate this so that the other end is showing. And then I think we're gonna delete this line. And then what we're gonna do is we're going to take the AP. We're gonna delete these guys right here, which are the end caps on each of these, and you'll see that once we finish, this will go white again. So end cap and end cap. And the reason why it does this is it's trying to make sense of the shape. This is not a closed shape once you do this. So it's saying, oh no, it's not a closed shape. So I need to fix this somehow. A lot of times if you take it into Glowforge, it'll say the same thing when it's not a closed shape. It'll kind of give you pushback on it. And you're sitting there saying, I don't understand. Well, what it means is you've got to go through and check all of your ends and pieces like that to make sure that they are actually closed instead of just displaying like they're closed, like this is right now. So I selected both anchor points and I'm going to do Control J to join. And you've got to be careful right there because it looks like now you've got a full line, but we don't, because we're actually coming in for that center. So we're going to do Control Y. And what Control Y does is it shows it to you in outlines. So you can see all the lines easily without having the fills or anything else to distract you. So you can see that we have all these other lines that we actually need to connect. I'm seeing this shows like a little bit of a bump up right there. So I don't know why. I'm actually going to take the arrow, sorry, and I'm going to delete that line. And we're going to do it again, just making sure that I didn't actually hold the key down or something between that. So we select each and we Control J. I think it's a visual display error because now it's not displaying the same, but it's still having the gaps. Same thing here, Control J to connect. Same thing here. Control J. And same thing here. Shift and Control J. So now we need here. Let's see. Now that really looks kind of sticky as that. We will come back to that. Okay, so right now you can also see that some of these are overlapping and we need to take care of that before we actually take this in any laser program. So I'm going to hit Control Y again. And it looks like because we made a new shape, we're going to have to select both of these. And we're going to shift and deselect the outside bar. So now we just have that inside decoration. We're going to object arrange front, just as I like to do mine is front. Select both again, come over here and minus front. And then there, we now have the decoration in the bar. And you can see that it looks really nice. It actually matches everything, but it's not too much. In fact, probably what I would do, I kind of like having the spacer be just kind of at the ends. But you could also bring it out here in the center and only have one diamond in the center, and I think that would be really nice. So you could do a diamond on the end if you wanted, on each side. You could, you know, just get in there with your A arrow and do anything you like. So let's back it out some. Now we know that we've got to connect some of these guys because of overlapping. So I'm going to select the whole thing right now, and I'm going to unite. And you can see there that now all that's one piece because it actually selects when I roll over. All right. So now we have this right here, which is kind of nice. I'm deciding whether or not we need any accents in there to kind of add to this. So it feels like we've got some open space here, maybe that we could add something. I'm thinking probably something along the lines of a pattern or a shape. So I know a lot of people like stars, but I think that if we added a star, that would take this very Western. So if we added a square, this would kind of take it to a more elevated, maybe Victorian feel. I know that some of the lettering like this was used in Paris in the 1800s. So let's just create a little bit of a square right here. And what I'm doing is I have the square tool, and I'm actually clicking my mouse and holding Shift and Alt at the same time. And what this does is it lets me drag it out from the center, and the Shift constrains it to a square instead of just a random rectangle shape. That looks a little big, so I'm gonna move down to there, and you can see that's about 1/4 of an inch. If you wanted just to make sure and say, you know what, let's keep all this math the same, come up here and just type in 0.25 and 0.25. If you had this chain actually looped, then you would be able to see right there that it constrains it to converting it for the ratio that it's in right now. So if I said I want it to be 1 inch, then it automatically converts to 1 inch on the other side. But we don't. So let's undo, and we'll go with 0.25. Okay, so I'm gonna put 0.25 as just right under 3, I think. I'm gonna drag it out here in a nice distance, and then I'm going to Control V for duplicate, and it does it the exact same distance down the line, just like I did. Now that adds a little something. We could probably add it to the top right as well. I think it'd be a little bit heavy. One thing we could do is we could turn this into an outline. Since we have this fine line in all these other places, let's outline that. So this is a stroke, not a fill. And we're going to make our stroke about 6 points. Now, obviously, we're going to have to pull these apart a little bit, but that looks a little bad. So let's pull this down to 4 points and see. It still feels a little thick to me. I think let's go 2, which is probably the minimum we can do. And with 2, that seems good, but I think it's that the size of this is just bugging me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this from 0.25, and we're going to drop it down to 0.20. Now, all of you guys would know that 0.20 is the actual mill thickness of a 1/4 inch board, not 0.25, depending on who you go to. But I found that that's the 1/4 inch that I get. So I should turn that back on. The ratio 0.20 needs to just enter once, and again select and 0.2. There. So I think that looks kind of nice. It just kind of adds something. You could probably do it with a shape, maybe a triangle. You could add something like, one of those dingbats of like a little bird or something like that as well. So, just feel free to play with it, add another vine. You could grab this flourish actually. Let's do. I wonder if we have a flourish that we can just steal from that. Let me pull the glyphs back out. Yeah, it's back in the box selected, so well, anyway, in the future we can pick up some of this leaf work or something, and then just carry that over here as well, like some sort of a little lily or something like that. So now what you've got is just a base thing that you can engrave. You probably want to make this two different files. So, or two different sections of the file. So right now we're going to move all this back up here into the shape. We're going to duplicate it and I'm going to drag that down here. So if we're going to have an engraved spot, then the engraved spot is not going to need the miter lines in the center from the upper piece. So right now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave this center square in just as a guide, but then you'll see that we're going to cut out all the stuff that's inside this right here. And we're going to switch this. This is actually what I like to do with scores is normally my cut line is red just because that's how I do. Here we're going to turn the score to green, which is my standard. And this doesn't look like it's selected all these. No. So health if I held shift down. So right now we're going to select green for all of those. And then for me, I like to make my cut lines red. So they're easily seen. So right now there you can see that we have a cut line to make a frame and then score lines to make the miter effect on it. So we're going to come up here and we are going to delete each one of these miters because we don't need to do them twice. And we are going to make this, now hold I down for eyedropper or just click I. And then you can select the color and effect from another item. So if I actually had like a fixed stroke on this, if I actually had, other things that were set to, or if it was a different shape that had like an outer glow, a drop shadow, any of that, then this would take all of those and take it to my new shape. And we're going to then select this guy on the inside. I'm going to hit I again. And we are going to select the miter. And there's our score line. So I like to do my engraves in pink because it makes it very obvious what's being engraved. So with this, I would just select that and change it to, let's see if this is something we want to do one by one. This is a fill, we change to pink. That's my pink right there. This is a fill that we change to pink. And then these guys are going to be lines that are engraved. Or we can swarm actually. So let's swarm and we're going to change that to green. Okay, so you have the full bottom because that's what you're going to rest your frame on top of. Right now, none of this is being used. So when you have a file like this, you can always go in and drop in any of your various decorations to use up this space when you cut it. Or hey, drop some earrings in there, put something in there to use the space depending on what the material you're running. I always test an MDF first. So I would always go MDF first and then go in and use the plywood or the hardware that you're looking to use for this. Another thing that I'm gonna do right here, and I like to try and remind people of, is when you have a file with a lot of points, then some of the software doesn't like it. I know Lightburn sometimes has issues with it. Glowforge definitely does. So you want to make sure that you don't have so many points that it's going to slow down the processing on your file. So what I do is, you can see right here, the obvious culprit is this one. So what I will do is come in here. I'm going to select set these Spencer points. We're going to go up to object, come down the path. You're going to use object path a lot when you're working with stuff. And we're going to drag across here. We're going to go to simplify. Now, right now, you can already see there's a lot fewer anchor points, and it will give you a report of sorts. So you can see that once you open that up, it says it had 839 points, and now we have 293. And if you look at it and say, yeah, 293 is great, but I want to try and get a little bit more, then you can see right here the curves. You can go from having a lot of points per curve to a lot less. So right now it's at 75, and you can see what it looks like. And I'm going to take it up to like 85 or so, and you can see that it starts adding stuff in. I don't think it actually will add back in all the way up to the 839 points. But it does add back in so that you can see what it moved. So that was 75 that they had it at. I'm actually going to take it down to like 50 and see where we're at. And 60 is now 244. So I actually added 10 points by going down low. So because it's trying to maintain the shape, but minimize the number of anchor points, it's getting overworked. So we're going to go back to 75, and oh, you can see 293. So maybe I actually did have it down a little bit. Let's go back to 65. There, and I don't think we're seeing anything the worse for it. Same thing here is, do you want a sharp corner or do you want a smooth, rounded corner? And so if you say I want a sharp corner, then you can leave it like this, and that'll actually keep that sharpness when you get to some of these joins in the letters. If you decide, no, you know what, I want to drag this down and see how that works with my shape, then you'll see, we'll zoom in a second. I'm gonna hit OK. So we're at 69. Hit OK. And we're gonna zoom in, and you'll see that we've had a loss. You know, this isn't quite that, those are still sharp, but we've had like a loss here that only has like one point at the end. It's not nice and straight anymore. This has actually lost the diamond that it had over here. So you really don't want to do that. So I'm gonna hit Control Z, we undo, and you can see all that sharpness came back from these. And I think that's good, because that was one of the things we liked about this, was having that extra decoration in the font. So there you go. There is a 5x12 welcome sign. I've seen a lot like this on Etsy being sold for, depending on the wood that they're on, being sold for $50 or more. And without personalization, just welcome like this. You know, add some flourishes that you like, use a font that you think is going to really resonate with your target audience, and have fun with it. I'm going to save this file. Anyone who wants it can ask me for it. And then the video for this, I'm actually coming in on time, which is amazing. I almost always go over on these. Then here, I'm gonna go back from sharing my screen so you can see my disheveled hair. And there we go. This is what my ophthalmologist got to see. Sorry, not ophthalmologist, my hearing, which I can't remember the word for right now. Anyway, I had an appointment earlier, and this was me rushing out the door at about 10:30 because I've been working on this site for another creative in some of our groups and getting it cleaned up and really organized. So that's been a lot of fun. So I will be back next Wednesday, 2 o'clock Pacific time. Let me know if a better time works for you guys. Otherwise, I'll keep doing that and I'll keep loading the video up for everyone to see. I'm sorry, I think I have something on that lip and I keep seeing it in the screen. So feel free to message me with any questions you have, any requested topics, just in general, even if you just want to say hi. Free to I'm here and I'm free to answer all of the questions. So thank you so much for coming over and sharing some time with me. And I will see you next week. Thanks so much.